It's the unspoken bane of RVers. Not talked about in pleasant company, but we'll talk about it here because you need to. So we're somewhere in Idaho, staying with some really good friends. They're living on 5 acres and they graciously allowed us to park our rig right here. But as you can see, we are not near anything. Well, I guess we're near their barn, but when you're RVing and you're mooch docking, which is what we're doing, or you're boondocking, what do you do with your poop? What do you do with it? You have so large of a tank in your rig, and then it fills up, and then you got to do something with it, as unpleasant as it might be. So on this property, they have a septic system. The septic system is up there behind those trees, but we need to get our poop, let's call it waste. Is that better? I don't know. From our rig all the way up there behind us through those trees and into a septic clean out, which allows us to dump.
Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins.
So it's a give and take. I mean, down here, if you come over here, they have a water spigot right here. This is really close to the rig, so that's easy. I actually got their permission to install a 30 amp plug on the side of their barn. The breaker is right behind here, so it's pretty easy to attach this to the wall and allow us to do a 30 amp plug. But with those so close to us, the biggest problem is, where do we put our poop? So let me show you. Walk with me. So as you can see in that walk, which of course was sped up for your convenience, this septic receptacle behind me is, if you walk on the driveway that we walked on, is about 400 feet from our camper. And if you cut through the woods, it's about 200 feet or so. So there's several ways that you can solve the problem of poop in a rural area. One is you can empty your black tanks just in the middle of somebody's yard, which is not only unsanitary, it's terribly illegal, it's terribly rude, and if you do that, you should probably go to jail. So we'll skip that one. You can also use a poop tote. That's what I call it. You empty your sludge into this tote, and then you drag it up to wherever the dump station is and you dump it into there. So it is a lot of work, and it's very heavy to move, although you can tow it on the back of your vehicle. It's just plastic, so you better go slow. You can, of course, unhook the rig, take it, drive it up into this area, and empty the poop. That would be the best way to do it, but it's also a pain in the neck because those of you who have hooked up and moved and then moved back, well, the other thing you can do is you can actually move the rig to this spot. There is a spot here, but it's right at the front, and nobody wants us in a trailer in the front of their property. Understandable. So here's what I did, because these are good friends and we'll be coming back again and again here. We needed to find a solution that didn't involve trenching 400 feet and putting in an in-ground pump, which was going to cost several $1,000s. So we're going to use what they call a macerator pump, and that pump takes the poop and it grinds it up and it sends it down a hose. The bigger the hose, the better. The problem is I have a 5/8 hose and a 1/2 inch hose, so you know, we'll see what happens. The macerator is only supposed to send, you know, poop about 50 feet, but we're a lot farther. So we're about 200 feet, as I said. So we're gonna have to see how this works, but I'll show you how we solve this problem. So I went down to Harbor Freight and I bought myself a 100-foot hose. And that hose I thought was going to be enough because I hadn't measured, right? So we laid the hose on the ground through the woods in as straight of a line as possible. And we got to right here, and right here, where is it? Right there. We got to right there, that's where we ran out of hose. So Harbor Freight was out of 100-foot hoses. I only had one because I am in the country. And so I got two 25-foot hoses to go on with that. Now we ran those hoses through the woods, and as you can see, we ran out of hose about right here. So I had a macerator hose that I had bought for another purpose. By the way, only use your macerator hoses for maceration. Don't use them for water after you've used them to transport poop. So I added that one on also. And of course, using Murphy's Law of RVing, or we could call it Murphy's Law of Poop, I ran short, about 3 feet. We have a macerator pump made by a company called Latch-it. And the problem is, as I showed you, we have 3 feet that we need to cover with a hose that we don't have. I'm gonna put my Stinky Slinky, my regular waste hose, on it. I'm gonna hook it up to the Latch-it, and then I'm going to send the poop on its merry way. I have no idea whether there'll be enough pump to do this. My other alternative is to go down to Harbor Freight. They have some small pumps, maybe somewhere in the middle of the run, put another pump, but that's gonna cost me $100 to $150, so I wanna try it without that first. So normally I would take the Latch-it and I would hook it straight to the outlet, but I can't do that because I'm short. So I'm using this hose, which is going to create a whole other problem, but we'll see what happens. So let's see if this works. As you can see, I won't show you too much, but there is a clear part of the hose and things are being pushed through it. So let's see what happens here. So one of the problems is I have to hold this pipe because I'm going on a slight uphill grade. So that's not fun, but I can do it. I think for the next time we do this, I need to get a 4-foot or so hose just to finish the connection and then not have to worry about this. But it does seem to be pumping slowly but surely all the way up the hill. It's a slight incline and into the septic tank. Thanks for watching. Links to the supplies we used are in the description. Season 2 of our travel starts very soon. Please subscribe. I promise you it can only get better than talking about poop. Liking this video really helps us also. How about telling us how you manage waste in your travels? Let's get a conversation going in the comments. For Karen, Wesley, and myself, I wish you happy travels. See you next time.